another session as we have more to come. All right, with that, I'm going to introduce Tim Bobillo and Marisa McDonald. Tim got a big thing on him. Tim is with the Diocese of Lafayette in Indiana. He's got a very variety of different backgrounds, TV. He was at Purdue University in development, things of that nature. He's active in the community, as you can read by those different acronyms that he's involved with, including Little League and things of that nature. His children graduated in his parish at St. Mary's. His wife, Marianne, works for Purdue as a senior operations manager for the Institute of National Security. They have 4 children, all Purdue graduates, so he can't be all bad. And 4 beautiful grandchildren. So with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Tim. Let's welcome Tim to our program.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy to speak to you tonight. As a speaker, I was really happy to hear Vince say there are no time constraints. So I'll get you out of here by 10 at the latest. So yeah, and this is the most important part of this is my wife, Marianne. So big round of applause for Marianne. And everybody knows Marisa. She's a colleague of mine.
I'm not sure everybody knows Marisa. They should, though.
Well, after tonight, everybody will know Marisa. So, but so she's at St. Thomas Aquinas. I work for the diocese, as Vince mentioned. Been there for a little over a year after retiring from 24 years at Purdue, but in development. So what I really focus on at the diocese is building relationships and helping the pastors be successful with their financial goals. But I want to help people understand how important planned giving is and the impact that they can make. And so people ask, what is planned giving? And one way to look at it is it's prayerful decisions which result in thoughtful sharing. So God asks you to share your bounty, and anybody can give money away, but can you do it in a way that you're making an impact, having an impact on people? So that's what we want you to think about when you think about planned giving. You may have heard of this, but there's something that's in the development field called the Great Wealth Transfer. Over the next 2 decades.
Tim, did you turn your microphone on the thing in your phone?
Hello, can you hear me?
I don't think it's turned it on.
Can everybody hear me?
No, is it?
Can anybody hear me?
We can hear your normal voice if we had to hear. Turned off.
Hello. Is that better? Okay. All right, we'll start over. Hi, I'm Tim Bobillo. Thank you for inviting me. The Great Wealth Transfer is looking at the next 2 decades, and it's expected that there will be close to $84 trillion will be passed down at that time. You know, that's the baby boomers are coming of age, and so that can have a great impact on our society. And Vince assures me that, what did you say? He thinks about 15 to 20% of that is going to come from this room. So, so hopefully that'll be so. And planned giving, just as you know, a real quick definition is any major gift made in lifetime or at death as part of a donor's overall financial and/or estate planning. A lot of people, I think what we find is that people put that aside. Maybe something that even subconsciously they don't want to consider, they don't want to talk about it, and so they don't do it. And you'd be surprised when I was at Purdue how many people in their 70s, 80s, brilliant people, but they had not made an effort to get their estate in order. And there are really 2 things that can happen. Either you can make the decision where your money goes, or the government can make that decision. So, so planning is really important. there are three types of major gifts, or of planned gifts. Outright gifts of appreciated assets, such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, gifts that return in income, such as a charitable gift annuity. So you make a gift and then you receive money back through your life, plus you can then have a beneficiary for that. But then ultimately at the end, the balance of that goes to the designated charity. Or gifts payable upon the donor's death, which is a bequest. And so why do you plan? Well, the reason you plan for anything is so that you make the best decision. See, I can't talk and push the buttons at the same time. I mean, that wasn't part of the deal. But if you plan, then you're able to make the best decision, which will have an impact on the things that are most important to you, your family, your business, and whatever charity that you're involved with. I believe that all of us are charitable in different ways, and I hope that you already are making gifts to different charities, whether it's to the church or to the Girl Scouts or to LUM, for instance. So those kind of gifts that you're making now, you can continue to make those in perpetuity if you make plans and then use the right instruments, right financial instruments to make that happen. So as you're getting started, these are 5 things that you can do. Yeah, here we go. So you can and you can just do this as a couple or an individual. You don't need to go to an attorney or a financial advisor, but ultimately, that's always a good idea to get involved with the professional. But just take an inventory of your assets. What you have a home, you may have vehicles, you may have some properties. It could be rental properties. So take an inventory of your assets, consider what your priorities are. What impact would you like to make? Who would you like to help? Is there something that you're involved with at St. Tom's that you'd like to see that program keep going? Obviously, there are a lot of students here, so you can support student trips or mission trips or something like that. And then identify who you want your beneficiaries to be, and discuss that with your families so that your family knows what you're thinking, so that they are aware of that and maybe can have a conversation. And then you can write your will. Now you can write a will, online. You can do that. And so that's perfectly fine as long as you've done that to establish your priorities and where you want that to go. But I think it's always good to use professional advice. And so working with your financial advisor, an attorney, and then a development associate from whatever not-for-profit you're working with. You want to talk to Marisa or to me or somebody from Purdue if you're a faculty member at Purdue and you love civil engineering, so you want to leave some money to civil engineering. You can place your name on the building. Naming opportunities are available. But if you talk to that representative, then you can find out what they're interested in and see how your vision meets up with their vision. You want to find something that's going to satisfy your wishes. And then these are different tools for gifts. Obviously, you can give cash away, securities, real estate, bequests. Now, real estate is one thing that, depending on who you're giving that to, a small not-for-profit may not be in a position to accept that. They would, if it was too much cost for them to do that, they may have to turn that down. But the real estate is obviously always very valuable. Bequests and your retirement plans, you've already identified some beneficiaries as you're establishing those plans. And you can always change those as time goes along. A life insurance policy is sometimes overlooked, but you can leave a life insurance policy if you're still paying off on that, and when you pay at the whatever payments you're making, that you can get a tax gift for that as well. And then when the life insurance pays off, the not-for-profit is the beneficiary. Charitable gift annuity or remainder trust, there are a number of different tools like that. And those are the things that you really have to talk to a financial advisor or an attorney, because like a trust, for instance, is a contract that you have to, there are some legal things that you have to have in place. So, but those are, very valuable to whomever you're leaving those to. And so why would you include charitable gifts? And as we've been said, you just give it to your kids and then you're done. And that's certainly a wonderful way to do that. You can bless your children that way. If you're in a position though where your children are taken care of and you want to leave them part of your estate, but you still want to, you're charitable in many ways and you want to leave it to some of the organizations with which you've been involved, you want to look at, what moves you? What are the things that you have been part of that you want to see continuing? And so what is your history with that? And leaving a legacy, you can establish an endowed fund in which would have your name on it, and it would be invested into, to a larger pool, and then annually it would pay out a percentage, up to about 5% a year to the charity. So that if you wanted to leave a scholarship to Purdue, for instance, so for $1,000, that would pay out a little bit every year. If you have $10,000, it leaves out 10 times that. So you could name a professorship. You literally could name a building. So there are a lot of different things you can do, but you want to find the entity that matches your beliefs and has a shared vision. So in making a gift, you want to look, some people think that it's just all about the tax savings, and that's important, and there are tax savings. And so one of the benefits is to reduce estate tax, income tax, capital gains tax. Sometimes the gift is made and you receive money back. As I mentioned earlier, charitable gift annuity, that'll pay you back, give you some money during your lifetime annually. But ultimately, the real benefit is the feeling and what you feel in your heart and understanding how you've been able to help people. If you make a gift to an organization that is helping children or is helping to feed the needy, that has a huge impact on what you're doing now in your lifetime. And so by making that gift in your lifetime, can be an added benefit. But just by virtue of you knowing that you've made that gift possible in the future at your death, will be very rewarding. And this is just an example of what are a couple of type of gifts. So retirement assets obviously are, your IRA, some other funds, but so there are great tax implications for that. You can support charities by designating them as beneficiaries. And you can also give some of that to your heirs. If you do a will or a trust, you can do that without giving anything away during your lifetime, but that's then it's taken care of and it's ready at the time of your death, and that has a huge impact. And the will and estate is changeable. If you have it set up, but then something happens and you want to add a beneficiary or take a beneficiary off, you can do that. If you want to change the amount you want to give to different people, or if you want to change the other beneficiaries and make sure that they get what you want them to have.
So your mic died. If I could have the box again, I've got some magic technology.
You work on this. I'll talk about it. And so that was a quick lesson in basics of estate planning. So that's very important. I want to stress to you that I hope all of you are doing that, considering that. Maybe a lot of you have already done that, but consider talking to your financial advisor, to an attorney, just diving in deeper and finding more information online. And then also, the most important part of me being here is to encourage you to consider a gift to St. Thomas and or to the Diocese of Lafayette. There are so many things within the diocese that you can do. You can choose any area in the diocese to support. You know, you can name scholarships at some of our schools. You can leave money to a seminarian fund. You can leave to a building and maintenance fund. As a matter of fact, one of your co-parishioners did that just this year. He made a gift, which he's named, but he didn't do it for naming purposes, but he has that benefit. And so there's a building and maintenance fund now that will start to pay out a little bit every year, but then at the end of his life, St. Thomas the gift is held in the Lafayette Diocese Foundation, but the benefit comes back to the parish. You know, any of these different things, you can help youth ministry, Hispanic ministry, evangelization. You know, almost all of the parishes have their own cemetery, in which dates back over 100 years. And so there's a fund for most of them, which helps for the upkeep of that. And so any of the other needs within the diocese. So I'm really trying to stress how important it is to look at what the diocese offers. This shows the Lafayette Diocese Foundation currently has a balance of about $25 million. And you know, that money pays out about 5% a year to all of those different endowments. I have copies. I don't think they're enough for everybody, but you can, if you want one, you could contact me. But there's an annual report that lists each of the different endowed funds. This is a message from Bill Gettings, who some of you may know. He's a financial planner in town, a member of St. Boniface. And his message is, thank you for your generosity to the Lafayette Diocesan Foundation. With more than 135 individual endowments, 25 million in assets, your gift supports our parishes, schools, cemeteries, seminarians, and many critical Catholic programs throughout our diocese and beyond. Your gift has a meaningful impact on the lives of your neighbor. So Bill is very active in many ways with the diocese. This is a very important part as chairman of the board of the Lafayette Diocesan Foundation. Mike McNulty is the director of stewardship and development. He's been with the diocese for about 5 years. This position was just created last year that I hold. His position is very, very administrative based. You know, he's a great fundraiser, but he has skills in the area of he's able to take care of the Catholic Ministries Appeal and all the different moving parts that go with that type of thing. A lot of the communication, there's a communication office, but he has to work closely with them to put out a lot of information. In my role, this is an opportunity for the diocese to have somebody who can build relationships with individuals. And so that's what I think my strengths are coming from Purdue. So getting to know people in the diocese, to work with the priests and hopefully help them be successful with their fundraising goals every year. And so I'm blessed to be here. You know, my Catholic faith is the most important thing in my life. God has blessed me in so many ways, starting with my family. And so, you know, I I feel that I'm helping each of you to be happy and successful, and that you recognize what God has done in your life and how you can impact others through a planned gift or an estate gift. So thank you very much for inviting me. I hope that I've answered some questions that you may have had or been considering. And again, I want to encourage you to seek out other information if you have questions either tonight or you can contact me. My information is right there. But thank you very much for listening to me.
Any questions for Tim?
What's a major gift?
Well, that's a good question. At Purdue University, if you said what's a major gift, they would say it's $25,000. If we went to Harvard and say what's a major gift, well, they'd say that's $150,000 or something like that. But if you went to Caregiver Companion, which is a small ministry that I worked part-time for, well, then if you gave them $250, that would be major for them. Yeah. So it's relative to
And the diocese?
But so for the diocese, we would consider $10,000. We consider a major gift. In order to establish an endowed fund, it takes $25,000. For $10,000, the bishop signs your thank you note. Under $10,000, it's printed. So every gift is important, but it's just basically how big your organization is and things like that.
Other questions?
Yeah. This is a very nice report here. And I noticed it's got an ending balance and it has available for distribution. What does that mean?
So every year, 5% comes out and is available to be spent. So if in that book, the available to be spent may not always be 5%, because if they spent their 5% every year, then it's 5%. But sometimes it's not always used, or not all of it is used. If they get $30,000 to spend, but the pastor only uses $20,000, well, there's $5,000 left for the next year, then they add the new $30,000 on. So that payable is what comes out of the investment. So that the 25 million is all invested. It's invested with Catholic priorities and how we should spend our money. And then the 5% is divided, is given based on what the balance is. Does that make sense?
Any others? I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Marisa McDonald. I look at it. Well, Marisa is the coordinator of development here at St. Thomas and is the chair of the development committee, organizer for the development committee. And you may not know about that, but that committee does a number of things that over the year. For example, is there a Giving Tuesday was it a Giving Wednesday?
Or Day of Giving.
Day of Giving. Okay, that comes out of the development office here at St. Thomas, that planning for that. When they had things like raffles and other kinds of activities that you could invest in, that comes through that office. And I guess that if you're really keenly interested in serving on that committee, you'd be welcome to contact Marisa and help her to and help the committee to further St. Tom's endeavors in that direction. Would you like to say anything?
Well, thank you all for being here, and thanks to Tim for your presentation. It's super helpful. With planned giving, we haven't had a lot of interest in the past, so I hope this sparks some interest. If you have questions or would like to get involved with it, you can reach out to me and or Tim, because we can work together to set up for you with the diocese. But yeah, thank you all for being here. If you'd like to meet afterwards, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Marisa. Let me have your nice picture.